PowerPoint! PowerPoint! You see what I'm doing there? I'm doing some powerful points. But that's not really what PowerPoint's all about. PowerPoint is about creating a presentation, showmanship, and having correct information. So, you've been working through your Unit Standard 29771 for a little bit of time now. You sort of have an idea about what you would use PowerPoint for. It's really just a good communication tool. So, I'm the presenter. Sorry, I should have introduced myself at the start, but I was just too busy doing powerful points. Yeah, that's ridiculous. Let's just get into this and learn how to make some awesome slides. Let's get into it. When we first open up Microsoft PowerPoint or whatever presentation creation digital software you're using, you're going to be greeted with a screen like this. And this is essentially just a list of examples of different templates that you can pick. So you've got your classic blank presentation for if you've got a lot of imagination yourself and you're confident that you can build some very nice looking slides yourself. Or we can have a look at some of these templates here. So I quite like the look of this droplet one here. Looks like it's got some water drops on it. It's pretty cool. We can have a look at some different color layouts. So I quite like this this bluish one. It makes me think of the ocean, but that could just be the water droplets and the color. So you select what you want, and you hit create. And we've got our first slide. That's easy enough. So, when you're looking at this, you'll see that we've got a whole lot of different tabs up here on the top and a whole lot of different tools here that we can play with. So we've got our home tab, and in our home tab that's where we can create new slides just by hitting the new slide bar, or we hit the downward arrow and we can see a whole bunch of different layout options. So I might go with to content, and you can see the difference between the original slide where it was title and subtitle and the new one where we've got title, and then we've got two boxes here where we can put in some text or a video or an image, or if we like to live dangerously, we're a bit of a rogue, we can put in a Microsoft Excel object. There's nothing wrong with a good Excel object. So we have a look at these. You can have a look at the layout, and that again is just changing the slide that you've already got into a different format. We can reset those formats, organize our slides into sections. So think of that as chapters within your presentation. And then when we have content, you know, text and images, stuff like that, then we can start formatting that using the font, paragraph, all of those options. We can draw shapes. There's nothing wrong with cutting a few shapes. But we'll get into some of this stuff in depth a little bit later on. We've got the insert tab where you can insert everything. Pictures, photo albums, shapes, icons. We can put in 3D models, which is quite cool. Smart objects. We can put in links, comments, Text boxes, headers and footers, which are always handy. You can put in the date and the time. That's quite cool. Number your slides. Video. I'll show you how to put in a sweet video later on. You can put in audio, so you can listen to your favorite Bieber track as you're doing your presentation. That's always going to be much appreciated. We've got our design tab where you can change the design of your slide. So let's change our first one to this. And that has gone ahead and changed the formatting, the template of our other slides. But that's okay. We've got transitions, animations, slideshow. This is pretty cool. This is where you can play with some of your screen display stuff. So you can actually play the slideshow. You can present it online. Use timings. So you can set up the actual timing of your slides, so you don't actually have to click enter or the space bar or anything while you're presenting. It will automatically do it after, let's say, 1 minute or 2 minutes. It'll go on to the next slide. That's pretty cool. Review, we've got spelling and grammar, we've got changing the language. You can add in comments, so if you're working on a presentation with someone else and you're creating the slides, they email you their slides and you can, leave little comments, which is pretty handy. We've got our view, so we can say note page. So we've got the slide there and you can put notes on it. Handout master, so if you're going to print it out and give the presentation, the slides as handouts to people, you can have a whole bunch of slides on one piece of paper. That's pretty handy. We've got help. So if you get stuck, there are a few ways that you can find yourself some help. The first way is to jump onto the Google and just type in the search bar what you're trying to do. So let's say, how do I insert a video into PowerPoint? You type that into Google and you're likely going to find forums or helpful websites that will take you through it step by step. Or you'll find someone who's actually made a video and put it onto YouTube showing you how to do it. Or you can just click on the help tab, click on help, and that'll bring this up when it's finished loading, and you can just type your question into there, or you can sort of guess in these titles what sort of help you're going to need. Do you need help creating animations? Do you need help with your design? You click it and you just follow it through. Honestly, I'd just type in what you're trying to do there in the actual search bar. It'll probably be a bit quicker and you'll probably get the answer that you want without having to sift through all of the other types of help that might be out there. Easy. So again, we've got the navigating through views as well. This is going to be helpful for when you're just reviewing your slides. You're almost ready to help them, to hand them in. What I did there was had a look at my awful slides in a slideshow. Now, let's say you want to play with some of your screen display options. To find your screen display options, you click Home, go down to Options. Okay, now you've got a whole bunch of different options down here. So these are your general options. You can have a look at your saving options, so you can set it to save automatically every 10 minutes or every 5 minutes. It's up to you. You can change the language, ease of access, so that's probably not something you're ever really going to need. Advanced. Okay, this is where we can do some playing around with our screen display options, okay? So, show the number of recent presentations, we can change that to 24, 23. So if you've been making a lot of presentations, you'll actually be able to see them just by searching for them. That's quite cool. We can show shortcut keys and screen tips, turn that on and off. We can turn on the ruler or turn it off. So a lot of Microsoft products will show you a ruler on the left hand side and the top of the screen, just showing you the dimensions of how big it will be physically when it's printed. So that's quite handy. We can also play with graphics acceleration, automatically extend display when presenting on a laptop or tablet. That can be quite handy, because what that'll do is if you've got it selected, it will just make it automatically fit onto the screen of whatever device you're using. We've got print options. We can customize our ribbon. So our ribbon is this part on the top here, and we can actually take tools off of it or add tools onto it. So that can be quite handy if you're doing some very advanced stuff with Microsoft PowerPoint. If I were you, I would leave it how it is, just naturally, because all of the tools you're ever going to need are already on the ribbon. Okay? So that is some of the basics that you're going to need before you even really start putting in your content and making it look pretty. Okay? I've started creating a slideshow, and it's an introduction to high fives. Let me just zoom in a bit, and I'm zooming in on my slide just by clicking on the plus down here on the bottom right hand side of the screen. That's a little bit too close. I might zoom out a little bit. That makes it a lot easier to see. So we've got an introduction to high fives, history of the high five, cultural significance of the high five variations, why should we teach high fives, curriculum design, benefits to our organization. So what I've done here is I want the organization that I work for to start teaching a course about high fives. Because high fives, they're actually quite culturally significant, and there's a lot of psychology behind the high five. And you really have to learn how to read a social situation perfectly to get the high five timing just right. And there's a lot of stuff you can learn about psychology and, society by using high fives as an education tool. So I think it's quite an amazing thing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how to insert some text first off. So all you do is you've got your new slide, you click into the text box, you just start typing. An introduction to high fives. And then I can put in a subtitle. Let's call that an excellent course proposal. Okay, that is some pretty boring looking text there, isn't it? It's just your standard Calibri size 60. Well, just like any other Microsoft Office product, you can play with your text in your font. So let's change that to Accent SF. Yep, that's definitely a font. And it's already looking bold, so I don't have to bold it. But I could put it in italics, give it that little bit of a lean, underline it, shade it. Shading is actually, it can be quite an effective tool when you're creating a PowerPoint slide. We can strike something through. We can change the size. Let's change that to 66 font. Just living on the wild side here. And I want that font to be green. Now, that's actually a nice shade of green. I can see that you're green with envy. And that's okay. I'm also going to make the subtitle a little bit bigger. And I might put that as Bauhaus 93 font. Nothing wrong with a bit of Bauhaus. I'm also going to make that green. So that's how you insert some text. That's easy enough. Let's say I wanted to put a little bit more text in here, but I didn't want it to be near the titles. I could just hit Insert, Text Box, and just create a text box. And there I can write anything I want. Anything I want. I understand that's quite a literal thing to write, because I said I could write anything I want, and I wrote anything I want. It's a little bit ridiculous, but honestly, I'm just showing you the skills, so it's fine. I've got this amazing text into my slides. Now I think it's time to supplement that with a nice image. So I'll hit Insert, and I could draw one. I could draw a shape and, you know, make a nice sort of a shapey picture. But I think I'm just going to use one of the photos that I found online and referenced correctly. It'll be in my documents. Let's say this image. Oh, that's a nice image of a high five. Look, that dog is so happy to be getting a high five. It's really quite heartwarming. Okay, now I don't want this image to cover my text, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit Send Backward, and I'm going to send it to the back. So now think of it as a sandwich, okay? All of your elements on your slides, you've got like the bottom element, and then you've got elements in the middle, and then elements on the top. And it's all about layering. And so if you have one element on top of another, you're not going to be able to see that bottom element. Just like when you're looking at a sandwich from the top, you can't see the bottom element of that sandwich. So now I can see my text, and I've got the image as a background. I'm pretty happy with that. But there's all sorts of different things that I can do with this picture. Okay, I can color correct it. So I hit corrections, and from here I can change the color of it a little bit, so the brightness and the contrast. So if you wanted a really dark image, you could do that just by using one of the presets. You could change the color of it. Let's make it a nice yellow. Yeah, that looks pretty awful actually. I'm going to change that to something else. Maybe this reddish orange browny colour. We can put in some artistic effects. So now it looks like it's through a dappled window. Or it's negative colours. Oh, that is terrifying. Make it look like Tetris. Tetris is an awesome game, by the way. We can change the picture, so just insert a new picture where that one is. Or, you know, we could delete it, move it, change the size. Now, you'll see when I'm changing the size, I'm selecting the corner circles here to change the size. And that's because if I change the size using the corners here, it doesn't change the shape of the image. Okay? It doesn't get distorted. Whereas if I were to drag it, change the size from the left or the right, the dog gets stretched. Okay? He looks a little stout. If I drag it from the bottom or the top, he gets stretched as well. Looks really tall. So when you're changing the size of your images, always go from the corners here, because it's going to keep that aspect ratio. It's not going to get distorted in any way. Okay, we can play with the picture styles. We can give it a nice frame. We can make it an oval. Ovals are pretty trendy right now. You can get rid of the hard line, so it sort of fades out on the edges there. You can manually put in a border. So let's put in a nice yellow border. Now you can't see that border, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to change the weight of that border. So changing the weight just makes the border thicker. We've got picture effects, so we could play with reflection. And I don't know if you can see that, but now the image has a reflection down the bottom there. I think that looks awful, so I'm just going to undo a few times. Undo. That was a pretty interesting thing. All I had to do was click this button here, this little arrow pointing left, and it undid the mistake that I had just made. But let's say I accidentally undid one too far, and I've lost my yellow border, which I think looks quite fancy. Well, I can just hit the other arrow, the one pointing right, and it redoes what was just undone. So play around with that. That's actually quite a cool tool. I did a bit of a accidental rhyme there. I apologise for that. We can also go ahead and crop our images. So let's say I don't like this guy's sleeve. I hit crop, put my cursor over one of the little black bars, and drag it. So now we've got the image that we're going to keep is still the original colour. The part of the image that is going to be done away with is grey. And then you just hit crop again. Now we've changed our image just like that. So cropping can be quite handy. Let's get away from pictures for a little bit, and let's get into formatting your slides a little bit, okay? So we've had a look at templates, and we've had a look at different layouts. So personally, I'm a big fan of just title and content. I think it looks clean and crisp. But I also have no issues with to content. Okay, so you have your title, you have maybe your text, your bullet points here, and then over here we can have an image, and it just balances your slide out a little bit. Now, balance is one of those page design principles. It can be a very effective tool to use. I don't know why I'm using hand gestures right now, because you can't see it on the screen, so I'm going to go ahead and stop that. But with our slide layouts, okay, design, we've already played a little bit with changing the presets. You can also change your slide size. Okay, so we could go from widescreen to a standard shape, or we can create custom sized slides. We can also change our slides from landscape to portrait. So you see it's changed the orientation of our slides there. Now they look pretty grim, so I'm going to go ahead and undo that. We can change the backgrounds, so we can change the color. Let's give it a nice green, and let's make it a little bit transparent. We can have gradients, so 2 colors in our background, and we can change how those colors interact by changing the brightness, the darkness, transparency, position, colors. So now we've got green and blue. That's always a solid design choice, I guess. We can have a picture or an image as our background. Now, I'm a big fan of having pictures as our backgrounds. So I am going to put our dog as our background. We're going to put the transparency down a little bit. So the reason I'm making it a little bit transparent, the picture, is so that it's not so bright and vibrant that we're not going to be able to see our text, which I will make bright and vibrant. We can also have patterns. So some nice stripes, or a polka dot scenario, or bricks. Nothing wrong with bricks. What I suggest with your slides is you use a similar layout or a similar theme throughout all of your slides, okay? And this will create a sense of consistency and repetition throughout your slideshow, because you don't really want just random slides with random pictures and effects. You want them all to flow, and that flow will make your presentation seem a lot more professional, and it'll also take away people's interest, well, their focus on your slides, and actually focus more on you as a presenter. Because as the presenter, you're pretty important as well. Okay, timing is pretty cool. So that means that you won't be sitting there pressing spacebar or anything to get to the next slide. The slide will move into the next slide automatically, and all you have to do to get your timing set is select the slide that you want, okay? Make sure you're in the Transitions tab, and here under Timing, you can just click what you want, time-wise essentially. So let's say 10 seconds a slide. That's not a lot of time per slide, because you're going to want time to talk about what's present on the slide. But let's say 10 seconds will be our first try. Now I've hit apply to all, but you don't have to. You can set up different timings for different slides, and all you have to do is select that slide that you want a different timing for and change it. And what you can even do is you hit slideshow, click on rehearse timings, and it'll actually bring up a practice slideshow for you, and it will show you those timings, and you can actually rehearse your presentation to it. And then from there, you can go back into transitions and change the timing as necessary for your slides. That's a pretty amazing tool, and PowerPoint 16 has this tool. I'm not 100% sure what program you'll be using, because I may not know what organization you're at. So hopefully the software you're using has that capability, because timing is awesome, okay? Just awesome. It really makes your presentation look just slick. While we're talking about slick, let's have a look at some transitions and some animations, okay? So let's say I want my slide about cultural significance of high fives to really have a little bit of impact. What I can do is I can click on the title or any other element that's on the slide, make sure I'm in the transitions tab, or actually let's go animations, okay? And I'm going to make it fly in. So we can see that when this slide comes up, that title is going to fly in. And then I can make this text, let's say wheelin'. So you can see that the text, bullet point by bullet point, is wheeling in. So there's a whole bunch of different transitions that you can set up. For your assessment, I want at least one transition, okay? But make it tasteful. And if you're going to make a title transition, you might want to think about making multiple titles transition just to create that repetition, right? Let's say we want some awesome transitions when we go from slide to slide. That's easily achieved as well. All we have to do, click on the slide that we want to transition and make sure we're in the transitions tab, and then we just pick one. I'm going to go for a wipe. Okay, did you see that? That's how it's going to look in the presentation. Going from this slide to this slide, we'll have a wipe. Or we can have random bars, a shape, uncover, cover. Cover is actually quite a nice one to use. It's simple and elegant. For your transitions, and you should use at least one transition, I would use something like a cover or an uncover, because it just looks a little bit nicer than, say, a fade. But that's just my own personal taste. You'll have your own, so you do whatever you want. I'm not your boss. Doing our basic editing skills like moving, copying and pasting, inserting, deleting, is pretty much the same as every other Microsoft product, okay? So moving around, you just use your mouse to click on the object. Deleting, you can press spacebar, backspace, sorry, not the spacebar, or you can right click and delete or cut. One interesting thing we're going to have to do though is we're going to have to insert, and we're going to have to insert a table, a Microsoft Excel table. And what we can do to do that is we can get our table, our Microsoft Excel object, and we can just drag it into our presentation. or you can go insert, smart object, and do it the long way. But with PowerPoint, you can do it just by drag and drop. It's taken a little bit of time in this instance, but here we go. Here is a Microsoft Excel object that I've put into PowerPoint. Now what we can do with this is if I double click on that object, it opens up just like a little Excel tab. And what we can do is we can highlight data, okay, we hit data, and we can sort it. That's really easy. So let's say sort by column B, smallest to largest, and here we go. We've got smallest number on the top, largest number on the bottom. Okay, so in your assessment you're actually going to have to do this. You're going to have to insert an Excel spreadsheet like this, and you're going to have to sort the data in column B from lowest to highest. So again, all we did was highlighted the two columns, the names and time spent. We went sort by column B, cell values, smallest to largest, okay. And then we just double click outside of the table, the Excel object, to get back into our PowerPoint. Nice and easy. We're getting towards the end of our video. I want to show you one thing, and that is, well, I want to show you a couple of things. The first thing is hyperlinks. So with all Microsoft Office products and a number of other products and digital tools, you can actually now have links to websites in your offline applications. And so all you have to do is go onto your website that you want, copy and paste the URL, and chuck it in there. And it works as a hyperlink. How awesome is that? That's ideal. And using hyperlinks like this in your presentation can be handy because it allows you to quickly navigate to external websites just to show some quick information or a quick video. However, if we wanted to show a quick video, you can also insert a video. So you can either insert a video online, so you copy and paste the URL from your YouTube video into this bar here, or you can upload a video from your computer. So just one you've got sitting in your document somewhere. I've got this one about how to use and create WordPress. And there is now a video. So what you're watching is a video of the presenter watching a video of the presenter. That's meta. So once you've got your presentation looking nice, it's readable, it's legible, you've done a spelling and grammar check, all of your slides, they show good use of page layout and page display ideas. What you want to do then is you want to go ahead and save. So file, save as, and then it's just the normal, guys. You use your file tree that you've created, and you just save it locally as, in this case, Introduction to High Fives. Save. And then from there, you can put it onto your organization's shared files and then attach it to the cloud as well. Upload it to the cloud. So what I'll go ahead and do later on is I'll actually be uploading this to my organization's Office 365 account, because that's the cloud service that we use. We can also go ahead, File, Save As, Browse, and we can change the file type to a PDF. And changing it to a PDF is just a really good option if you're going to be printing out the slides and giving them to people that are attending your presentation. And then if we want to go ahead and print it, I'm pretty sure you know how we're gonna do that. We're gonna go ahead and say File, Print, and what we can do is full page slides. We can actually dictate how many slides we want per page, and this can save us a little bit of paper. So I want 6 slides per piece of paper, and that just means that we're going to be using less paper in our printing. So we're going to be a little bit greener, and there's nothing wrong with that. That's a good thing. We can change color or grayscale. Select our printer that we want to use. I don't know how many printers your training organization has. We have a couple. And then you just hit print. So from here, you've got the know-how of how to use Microsoft PowerPoint. So go ahead, have a play with it. I'm sure that when you make a presentation, your slides are going to look a lot nicer than this. But what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to finish creating this presentation, and I'm going to make it look really nice, and I'm going to make it available for you to have a look at as an example of what a presentation can look like. Okay? So have fun, good luck, and who knows, maybe I'll see you in another video sometime. Presenter out.